that. And it connects through the reptilian brain. So let's disconnect from the reptilian brain as part of breaking the spell. It feeds us fear. It has to, constantly. Fear this, fear that. Insecurity, anxiety. That's what it's doing to manipulate our perception and hold us in a low vibrational state, therefore the moon matrix. So one of the ways that we can, just on a daily basis, is disconnect from the lizard brain, and therefore what it's connecting us to is to, simple thing, don't count to 10, count to 50. And if you're still wound up and about to hit somebody, count another 50. Because what the reptilian brain does is it doesn't think, it reacts. That's why it's so fast. It doesn't have to think, just reacts. Now, the other parts of the brain, like the neocortex, they think things through, so it takes longer than the reptilian brain. This is why we react to something, reptilian brain, and then maybe a minute later, 2 minutes later, maybe half an hour later, the visual cortex has thought this through, and we go, oh my God, I overreacted, didn't I? Did I really say that? Oh my God. That's what, it's the reaction system, reaction. And if we can stop reacting, emotional reaction and all that stuff, because, you know, we're manipulated so much through the reptilian brain reaction system. It's not problem, think it through, do a bit of research, see what you think, discuss it a bit, solution. It's problem, reaction, solution. That whole process of mass manipulation is done through here. So when we're faced with a situation, and I'm talking to myself as much as anybody here, you know, I'm not cross-legged on a mountain saying, hey, here I am. No, I'm talking to myself as much as anyone else. When we're faced with these reaction systems, whether it's because of a world event, whether it's because something in our lives, if we can just go, okay, I don't like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and eventually the reptilian brain loses its power because it's a reaction power, and once the reaction's gone, it's lost its power, and we can think things through. And if we stop reacting through the reptilian brain, then we are massively disconnecting from the moon matrix. And as these truth vibrations change the nature of this energetic control of the human collective mind, the hive mind that we've been connected to, then its expression, this structured world, the way we work. And, you know, my brother said to me once, what's it all about, Dave? He said, you get up in the morning, you go to work, you come home, you have your tea, you watch telly a bit, and you go to bed, and you get up and you go to work. I mean, look at it. It's the way it is, the way it's structured. It's slavery because it's so limited. And I've talked to people once, the last time I spoke at the Oxford Union, I was talking to some students. They could not perceive a world in which there wasn't a hierarchical structure of government because there would be chaos. That's the left brain at work. And people, when you think, look, this world is crazy. It's not serving people. People are serving it. That's what we are. We're slaves to a system. Politicians are slaves to a system. They go into the system. They think they're going to change it. The system changes them. And therefore, we can't perceive left brain, old epoch, that actually there are other ways of living, of interacting, other ways of providing food and warmth and what you have, other ways of living life than this drudgery. But as we expand our awareness, then other ways of interacting will become very obvious to us. Blinded by belief, believe. This is one of the control system's greatest weapons to control the human psyche. Get them to believe something. They don't care if it's this religion or this political belief or whatever it is. As long as you believe something powerfully, then they got you. Because belief builds walls around itself, repels all borders that challenge that belief, and suddenly you're living your life on a postage stamp or a dot. And your true ability to perceive in an expanded way is gone. You've given it up to the belief. This is how it must be. And once you have a belief, like a religious belief, then there are rules and regulations. Walls go around the belief. If you're going to be one of us, you must believe this. You can't believe that because they believe that, so you'll be one of them if you believe that, and all the rest of it. Here we go. We're all possibility. What are we doing having rigid beliefs when we're all possibility? Religion is mind. And there are many expressions of religion, not just going to church. There are many religions of the mind of various kinds that don't appear to be, but they are addictions of the mind. It's mind. You must believe this. There is one possibility. What's that saying? There is one possibility. That's how mind thinks. Consciousness, there is one possibility. You're having a laugh, darling. So religion, as we know it, is not going to survive this epoch change either, because it's an expression of the last one. These are people in a hypnotist stage show who've been told that they are religious believers. There's so many religious believers who are like that. There's so many prisons of the mind, religious belief, racial belief. I'm in a different spacesuit to you, so I'm better than you all. It's like being two spacemen on the moon and they're having a bloody argument because what spacesuit is that color and that spacesuit is that color and that was made here and that was made there. Mine's superior to yours. It's childish, child's play. And by the way, it's not just white people who are racist. It's a mentality that can manifest through any race. And we have racism all over the world. It's not a racial belief, racism. It is a mental mind state. And anyone that thinks they're superior to anyone else because of their body computer state or color or whatever is controlled completely by mind and ignorance, political belief, self-identity belief. I am Joe Public, I'm little me. All these things will go and have to go if we're going to open up to the truth vibrations, because they are all about limitation, all about little me. And as researchers have shown, when we have rigid beliefs, the brain fires off the neurons in a specific network. And what that does is filter reality, decode reality, in line with the way those neurons are firing. Therefore, it continually edits its reality and creates self-fulfilling prophecies, if you like, that it keeps seeing the world according to its belief. Despite receiving information that challenges the belief, it just filters that information in line to protect its belief. And then when you change your belief system, as has been shown in research, the neurons start firing in a different way, and you start seeing the world in a different way. If we can get to a point where we open our minds without belief, we come from a state of knowing, all-knowing consciousness rather than belief from mind, then we open up the range of perception and understanding and awareness well beyond anything you can access if your brain is firing off in this symbolic way, limited by rigid belief, whatever belief that may be. When we open our mind to consciousness, everything changes. And to do that, I would suggest we need a blank sheet of paper. You know, it's not about learning anything new. We're all knowing if we can access that level of ourselves. It's unlearning the programming that has kept us from that level of awareness that we truly are. And therefore, because we're dealing with all possibility at the core of our being, that's what we are, we need a blank sheet of paper. All preconceived idea needs to go. All preconceived belief needs to go, and let information, intuitive knowing, decide what we think about things and feel about things rather than preconceived idea. It's not possible becomes, well, let's see if it's possible on the basis of the evidence, the basis of the information, the basis of how I feel. And then suddenly we're not saying, no, that's possible, I'm going to shut that out by reflex action. We're going to look at it. And when you do look at it, as I know from experience, what seems to be crazy to start with starts to take on very profound dimensions. Because we're all possibility. And if we're saying only this is possible, only that's possible, that's not possible, we're not operating at the core of our being, which is all possibility. We are editing things. We are limiting ourselves. We are entering the realm of mind. And it's a time to choose, in many ways, between the head, the intellect, not that he doesn't have the part to play, it does, it being the governor, and the heart, knowing, intuition. What changed my life more than anything else was 20 years ago when I decided that if I was ever had a decision between going with my intuitive knowing, which we feel here, funnily enough, in the kind of heart chakra area, and my mind, I was going to go with my head, I was going to go with my intuition. And it changed my life and has allowed me to follow this path, because I can tell you over the last 20 years, there have been many times in the early days, not for a long time, but in the early days, when my head was going, you're going to say what? You're going to do what? You must be joking. Not in my lifetime. But I thought, no, I feel to do it. I feel to do it. I went with it. And as a result, you follow this, this energetic path through intuitive knowing that's been laid out. And what happens, because intuition, knowing, is coming from another level of awareness beyond five-sense reality, it means that to five-sense reality, general world, some of the things you do when you follow your intuition are seen as, oh, I think I'm possibly an example of this, are seen as crazy and mad and lunatic and dangerous and all that stuff. And what happens then when you do that and you get that reaction is that the head kicks in, the mind, which wants to protect its preeminence that it's had up to this point, puts its arms together and says, see what happens when you don't listen to me, see the trouble you've got into? And it's like, yeah, okay, and you come back into mind. But if you stick with it, and you take what comes as a result of expressing your uniqueness and expressing your intuitive knowing, then eventually things happen, good things, great things sometimes, that happen not despite what you did and the reaction you got, but because of it. And then the mind, the intellect, looks at this and says, well, hold on a second. It might get you into trouble, but eventually it works out. And what happens then is your head and your heart, your knowing, your intuition come together. And the war stops. We become whole again, where mind serves consciousness instead of serving itself. And it's years and years, I say this honestly, since my intuition and my head have had a problem. It's an incredible feeling, because it's like, when you start out, it's like, I feel to do this. You're not doing that. No. And then after a while, when this sync takes place, it's like, I feel to do this. And the head goes, okay. And it's a totally different way of interacting with the world. The war stops. And this is open to all of ours. But the first thing is what it is. It's to face the situation we're in, and then we can do something about it. First thing, to realize that up to this point, we have been slaves thinking we were free. And so the first stage is to acknowledge that, and when we do, we can do something about it because we're accepting what the situation is. The second thing is to choose freedom over slavery and be prepared to do what is necessary to achieve that freedom over slavery. And when we do that and we mean it, there is a shift in our energy field. As that shift takes place, what I call magnetic attraction, it's the energy field is of the human body is an expression vibrationally of our state of being, mentally, emotionally, what we might call spiritually. And therefore, our state goes out as a vibrational field, and it draws in other vibrational fields that sync with it. We call these people, places, locations, ways of life, jobs, opportunities, or lack of them. So when this shift takes place, because we've said my intent, very powerful intent, is that I want freedom, and I want to end my life. I'm not going to be a slave anymore. I'll do what is necessary to understand who am I, where am I. Suddenly this energy field shift takes place, and we start drawing in new people, places, locations, opportunities, etc., that are syncing with the new vibrational state as opposed to the old one. And at this point, and I experienced